Okay, so now to the second part of the birdhouse project, assembling the birdhouse. So you've already taken this stuff out because you had to do all the measurement and all the stuff. But you want to get your parts laid out. So those are my front and back. This would be my ends or sides. This is the bottom. And then these two pieces are the roof. So you lay out your parts, and then you're gonna get some stuff out of your toolbox. First thing you should do when you open it, put your safety glasses on. I have my safety glasses on. All right. You're gonna, out of the top, there's the baggie with the parts. Okay, I gave you a few extra nails, but there's not other extra stuff. So I'm gonna put that out on the table to get to, and I'm gonna separate the screws from the nails, from the dowel, from the eyelet. So, things we're gonna need, I'm gonna need my hammer, and I'm gonna need the glue, and that's probably about all I'm gonna need for right now to get started. So, here's the process of assembling it, okay? I would start with either the front or back, doesn't matter, and your ends. Whenever you nail something together, you want to use glue. So, you're gonna need to have the glue. Glue can be your best friend and your worst enemy. A little bit of glue goes a long ways. You gotta get enough glue on it, but too much glue, if it gets all over the place, it's hard to sand off. If you go to stain it, the stain won't penetrate the glue and you'll get white spots on it. So be careful with the glue. The other thing you may want to have with you is a paper towel. So I went and got a paper towel for excess glue to wipe off. Okay. All right. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that when you put these ends onto the birdhouse like this, that groove lines up. If you nail it on like this, you made a major mistake, okay? So you want to make sure that you line up the grooves with that. So the first thing I'm going to do, so I'm gonna set my two ends up, grooves inside, and I'm gonna take my back, you can start with the front, doesn't matter, and I'm gonna put it like that, because I'm gonna put nails in here. But what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on the edge of my first end. And then I'm gonna spread it out. Okay? We don't want too much glue. We don't want it going all over the place. Excess glue, wipe it off your finger. Don't worry about the other side right now. You're gonna put this on this edge. The other one is just gonna hold it up. And then you wanna get the bottom flush right here. And then you will take one of your nails, put it in here, drive it in, take another nail, come to this one, drive it in, then I will spin this around and I'm going to put glue on this edge. Spread that glue out. I want the glue on the whole surface. Okay, wipe the excess glue up. Remember, it's very important that the grooves line up. So make sure your grooves are lining up. And I want this edge over here to be flush. And I'm going to take a nail, put it in the hole I've put on there for you. Drive that nail in. Take another nail, put it in that hole. Drive that one. Alright, now I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to put glue on both of these edges. Spread it out. If you get too much glue, make sure you wipe it off. Okay. After you spread the glue out, before you put that side on, you got to take your bottom, got to put it into this groove, and you got to push it down in there. and it should be flush with the top side. Okay, put your bottom in there, then take your front, put it on here, and it should fit down in there. Okay, the bottom should keep that flush now, but make sure it's flush, and then put in your 4 nails. Spin it around. Okay. Now, you want to take your nail set, and you want to set the nails below the surface. Not too far, about a 1/16 of an inch. And you want to do the back also. Then you want to take your putty and your putty knife, and you're going to use the corner to pry the top off. Okay, you're going to open it up. You're just going to take just a little bit of putty and then put that lid on and push it down all the way. We don't want that to dry out. And then the way you use a putty knife, you put the putty on a corner, you push it into the hole, and then you scrape it off. Okay, we don't need a big mound. You just want to push it in, scrape it off. Okay, push it in, scrape it off. Turn it over, do the same thing to those holes. Push it in, scrape it off, push it in, scrape it off. Okay. The putty that's left on the knife is already starting to dry out. You can dispose of it. Don't put it back in the container. That's why we only want to take a little bit of putty. If we need more, we go get more. But you take too much out, you can't put it back in. It's wasted. All right, the next part is we want to assemble our top. To assemble the top, one of them is longer and has a rabbet. Okay, they also have grooves in them. Remember, you got to identify all that stuff. They also have holes that are countersunk. Okay, so the way this works is if you can look at this and tell that the hole is not in the center. The longer distance, the one that the hole's farther, that's the bottom of the roof. Okay? So when I put this together like this, there's a bigger distance here than there. So if you put it together like this, that's not right. The holes will be in the wrong spot. Okay? It goes together like this. And we got to nail this. So to put this together, I'm going to put this right here. Put a little bit of glue on it. Remember, we always use glue when we're nailing stuff. That's what's going to keep it together. And then I'm going to put the rabbet on top of that, and I'm going to use the birdhouse to kind of help hold it. That'll hold it better. Okay, so you guys see how I'm using the birdhouse with my combination square to keep this up while we nail it together. So we want to make sure this is flush. Put our nail into that hole. Drive it in. This nail into this hole. Drive it in. We're going to take our nail set. And we're going to take putty. Remember, we're taking just a little bit. Only got 2 small holes to do. Lid on tight. Put putty in that. Oops, putty fell off. Put it up here. Push it in. Scrape it off. Okay, you see that hole right there? That hole's for something else. Do not putty that hole. Alright. So now, this will go up here and fit on there. But before we put that on, we want to do some sanding because it's easier to sand before that's on. So you're going to take your sandpaper and you want to sand the excess putty off. Putty takes 5 to 10 minutes to dry, so you want to make sure it's dry. If it's not, just take a break. But we don't want that excess putty there. So we're going to sand that off. I'm going to sand the whole thing, just back and forth. Okay? You always sand with the grain. Don't go cross grain, you'll scratch it up. Turn it around, sand it with the grain. Okay? Sand that hole a little bit there for the bird. Turn it to the side. Sand my side. Hopefully you can see how this is easier to do without the roof on it. I want to kill the edge right there. What I mean by that is I don't want a big round edge, I just want to take the sharpness off. I'm going to take the sharpness off that one. And I'm going to sand the back. Take the putty off. Make sure you go with the grain. You go sideways, you'll scratch it up. Okay? You get all that putty off, and then we're going to kill those edges. Okay? I'm also going to take the sharpness off the bottom edges. And I got this last side to sand. Alright. So, we can sand the roof after it's on, okay? So now what we're going to do is put the roof on here. Those grooves fit down on here, locks it in. I'm then going to have you take your screwdriver and you have some screws. You're going to put a screw in here and you're going to push down and you're going to tighten that screw until it is flush with the surface. Then you're going to take another screw, push down, turn. Now you want to make sure you're going straight. You don't want it to come out the side. And just go until it's flush with the surface. Turn it around and do the same thing. Push in and turn. Now the reason I'm having you screw the top on is because I want you to get a screwdriver in your hand, and that's something you need to learn how to do, is put a screw in, take a screw out, drive a nail in, set a nail, putty, all that stuff. Alright, so now we don't want these sticking up, we want them flush or slightly below. Let's sand the top. Okay, you can see the putties right there from those nail holes earlier. Don't go cross grain. Always sand with the grain. Bam, kill that edge, kill that edge, kill that edge. Turn it around. Kill that edge, kill that edge, kill that edge. And I'm gonna kill the top edge. Okay, remember that little hole I put on the top? That hole is for this eyelet. You put that in there, and you're gonna turn it, and you're gonna twist it. Just do it by hand until you get it down about that far. That is so if you want to hang this up, you can put a string, a rope, a little chain, something on that to hang it up if you want to hang it up outside. Alright, still not done though. Okay, I'm going to kill that edge, that edge, that edge. Alright, we got to put our dowel in. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little dab of glue in there. Okay. And we're going to take our dowel, we're going to push it in there, and you just want to leave it. Do it that way. Leave it till that glue dries. Okay, you don't want to touch it. All right, you want to wait till that glue dries. Now, you can always touch up sanding this. I saw a little more putty right there I wanted to take off. But you really need to leave this alone until that glue dries for that dowel. Always put your tools up, okay? Just put the tools back. Always take care of them. Make sure the glue bottle lid is closed. Put the screwdriver back in there. Hammer can go back in there. Combination pocket square can go in there. Nail set. Put this back in here. Don't forget your safety glasses you should be wearing. Those back in here. Make sure that there are all those items in there. You will have a card in there with a list of items to check. Okay. You will have 2 extra nails in case you bend a nail or lose a nail to use. Those can be tossed. Ziploc bags can be tossed. All right. Toolbox will get returned to the school. You will show me your finished birdhouse on Zoom. You'll hold it up and show it to me. I'll give you points for assembling the birdhouse. You don't show it to me, you get no points. Okay? So you can see this is our little birdhouse project. You do not need to return the birdhouse project to the school. You keep it. I just want to see it on one of our Zooms. So that's our birdhouse project, and hopefully you enjoyed it and learned something. And with that said, as usual, newbie out.